What's going on, Packers Nation? Welcome back to another video of Packers Latest. I am your host, Taylor Bretl, keeping you up to date on the latest news on the Green and Gold Green Bay Packers. A happy Thursday to all of you watching out there. On today's episode, we're going to be looking at some names that are likely leaving Green Bay due to free agency, talking a lot about Malik Willis, then turning it to other names that could possibly be out of Green Bay, and then wrapping this up with an interesting quote from Adam Schefter talking about just the quarterback situation that could be happening in Green Bay overall. So if you're new to the channel, feel free to leave a like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you know when these videos go live. And if you're a turner, I welcome you back as always. So we're going to start this one off talking about Malik Willis, who in some recent articles was shown to be projected to get a $30 million contract. I mean, what an incredible story for Malik Willis, a third-round pick to the Tennessee Titans in 2022 in an experiment that did everything except succeed, with all due respect. It was seen as a failed experiment. Malik Willis was viewed as a bust, but the Packers traded a seventh-round pick to bring Willis to Green Bay, and they have made him flourish in the backup role behind Jordan Love, and we've seen him this season, especially in some, bigger games, even in losses, like a 41-24 loss to the Ravens. You could just see the starter type of play that Malik Willis has in his game, and this is what has jumped him to number one in NFL's top 101 free agents for 2026 in an article by Greg Rosenthal. Malik Willis truly sits at number one on that entire list. I have a quote that sits below Willis's name on this article that says, "I see him as the most dynamic quarterback in football as a runner, and his tape in Green Bay showed incredible growth as a passer over his 2 years under Matt LaFleur. Despite his limited sample size, Willis jumped to the top of the spot of the ranking based on the same logic that applies to the NFL draft. If a potential franchise quarterback is good enough to be ranked in the top 5 of the list like this, then he should be placed first. By virtue of the position, the ceiling is the roof." So he had Willis top 5, but he's like, hey, I see him as a franchise quarterback. I'm bumping him up all the way to 1. So tip your cap to Malik Willis. I mean, what an incredible turnaround for the kid, and what he's projected to get, a $30 million, per year contract. That is some pretty incredible numbers. I know a lot of you watching wanted him to stay in Green Bay, but it is impossible to keep both Love and him, and probably would not be paying $30 million a year for a guy to be a backup, even though every time he came in on the field for the Packers as a backup, he basically was a starter-level quarterback. We look at this, once more with the Packers. They did trade a 7th-round pick for Willis. I mean, I'm still not going to get over that. I mean, I remember when the Packers got Willis, it was like, okay, supposed to be a top pick, didn't really work out, but hey, could be nice to have him in the backup room. Yeah, did not think it would turn into this. So got to tip the cap. I'm excited to see where Willis goes. Unfortunately, it will not be in Green Bay, but, exciting things ahead for him. Could it be the Vikings? I don't know. I'm thinking of rumors. Maybe that'll be hard to root for. Outside of in division, I wish Malik Willis the best. But no, all jokes aside, pretty exciting to see the turnaround that he had. But with Malik Willis, being a UFA and leaving Green Bay, likely to get $30 million a year, what does that mean for a possible draft pick that the Packers can get? This is where things get interesting with the compository picks in the NFL. I had to do a lot of research on this because I want to explain these compository picks to you guys so it can help me understand it better, and so it can help you understand it better, because there's not really a formula, but you can kind of understand how it works. So how about I just jump right into it and stop blabbering about it? Let's start off just talking about it as well. This is one of the best definitions I found of what a compository pick is, and then I'll kind of get into what kind of pick the Packers could get from Malik Willis. So kind of a long definition, but it breaks it down very well. It says, a compository pick in the NFL is an extra draft choice awarded to teams that lose more or better unrestricted free agents than they acquire in the prior offseason. These picks are added to the end of the 3rd through 7th rounds of the NFL draft and can significantly impact the team's rebuilding or reloading processes. The exact formula for compository picks is not publicly known, but it considers factors such as the player's average salary per year, snap count, and postseason awards. Teams can receive up to 4 compository picks annually, and if a team still qualifies for more than 4, they will be awarded with the 4 highest remaining selections. So hopefully that kind of made sense to you. I'm going to break it down in the sense of what the Packers could get for Willis and what that's going to look like there. So kind of who counts as a compository free agent. So they must be an unrestricted free agent, which Malik Willis is, and they must sign before the first Monday after the NFL draft. That is kind of a big part of this as well. It does not count if they're a restricted free agent or an exclusive rights free agent, which Malik Willis is not. And it does not count if they were released kind of for like a cap casualty, like cutting them does not qualify. So Trevon Diggs, for example, would not qualify for the Packers to get a pick because they just cut him to save money there. You don't get a pick out of that. So some Packers, specific setups kind of, I was looking at some articles. It shows that Green Bay could have 9 unrestricted, or they have 9 unrestricted free agents. We talked about Trevon Diggs does not count because he was released, but there are other names, that would count. But we're looking at Malik Willis. He's projected a $30 million per year contract, which per this article that I was reading per Yahoo Sports would value out to a 3rd round pick. Again, there's not really a formula for this, so I don't know how to explain that well to you guys, but based on what Malik Willis is projected to get, the Packers could be getting a 3rd round comp pick if they don't really bring anyone else in of that value. So that would be very neat to see. We know the Packers don't have, many high picks in the NFL draft, and I know a back end of the 3rd round pick is not a high pick as well, but it'll still be nice to kind of stack that up in the mid to high tier. But before we get into the other candidates and other comp picks that the Packers could get, because there is more than Malik Willis, have to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor in Ultra Pouches. Ultra is the ultimate guilt-free pouch delivering instant focus and mental clarity without nicotine or caffeine. New customers can use FanArc to get 15% off at takeultra.com. That's takeultra.com to get 15% off with code FanArc. After your purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them, so please feel free to support our show and let them know that we sent you. You can do that scanning that QR code right up there. Ultra Pouches are designed to improve mental clarity, attention, and productivity within minutes of use. Users report enhanced ability to stay on task, have better decision-making, and reduce brain fog. And 90% of the customers saw significant improvement in their overall focus level. So if you're interested, feel free to scan the QR code up there once more. If you use code FANARC, it supports my show. It supports all of FANARC shows, and we've appreciated the support through all of these episodes. I know I started this mid-season for the Packers, but you guys jumped in and supported me. Now we're in the off-season. There's so much to talk about, and I appreciate you coming back to every single episode. So we are going to resume talking about what are other kind of UFA candidates that the Packers have on their roster outside of Willis. I mean, Willis is the top one, being the #1 ranked free agent, but there are a lot of other big names. We start off Rasheed Walker. He's projected around a $21 million per year contract, which, per this same article, from Yahoo Sports, it says likely a 3rd round comp pick for him if the Packers don't bring him back. Romeo Doubs projected 16 to 17 million. The author puts this as a 4th round pick for the outcome. They said they're a little uncertain on the range of where it would sit there. Quay Walker projected 13 to 15 million per year. They put him as a 5th round comp pick, and Kingsley Enagbare and Sean Ryan projected around that $5 to $7 million range, which would be a 6th or 7th round draft pick. So I don't know. I mean, we're going to have to kind of track what the Packers do. I don't want all picks for these guys. And again, Packers can only get up to 4 anyway. Rasheed Walker seems like he'll probably be gone. Romeo Doubs seems like he'll be gone. And with Willis gone, that's 3 right there. Quay Walker, I hope is back. And Kingsley Enagbare, I hope is back. Sean Ryan, I hope is back. So that could be 3 possible picks if the Packers don't bring anyone to match their value, because then that would be how they lose their pick. So I don't know. It's these comp picks are so interesting to me. Feel free to leave in the comments below how you're viewing this. If you want the Packers, like how many comp picks you want them to get. Do you want them to use up all 4? Do you want them to sign someone, if they lose a $30 million, per year contract level to Malik Willis? Do you want them to sign someone else with a similar contract value and not even get a comp pick out of it because it cancels out? Feel free to let me know in the comments down below. I think Willis is gone. I think Walker is gone. I think Romeo Doubs is gone. So I think the Packers could get 3, and those are 3 pretty big names. I mean, that could be 2 3rd-round comp picks and then maybe a 4th for Romeo Doubs. So I wouldn't mind that for 3 guys that kind of seem good as gone anyway. But it would be interesting if the Packers bring anyone else in. It could cancel out some of those picks. But that takes me into the last point of this episode, kind of a sidetrack from where we've been talking, but it's just something that Adam Schefter said the other day. I believe he was on ESPN Milwaukee talking about the Green Bay Packers, and this is just a very interesting segment for him. He talked about Kyler Murray or Tua Tagovailoa, 2 quarterbacks that have been struggling and might be looking for a new home, especially let's talk about Malik Willis. Could he come to Miami? There's a lot of Packer presence there. Could he take over Tua's job? Not sure. Kyler Murray, Cardinals want to move on from him. He's a rumor to multiple teams. Minnesota Vikings, who I touched on earlier, could be one of those. So Adam Schefter rumored these 2 quarterbacks to the Packers, however, and he kind of had his own reasoning for it. So this is a full quote. It was about a 30-second clip, but I'll read the whole quote to you. kind of talking about the development that the Packers have with quarterbacks, hence Malik Willis being a prime example. It says, like, if I were a guy like Kyler Murray or Tua Tagovailoa, Green Bay would be appealing to me. You're with a good organization and a good system with good talent. To players, you may take a year to kind of reset yourself and decompress and learn and see things from a different perspective. There are worse places to wind up than Green Bay for one of these guys. And again, I'm sure those guys want to go and play and start, but that's not the case. If they want to get that opportunity, then you would think of a place like Green Bay. It would be very attractive for a lot of these guys. So basically saying these guys were starters. They're getting overshadowed. They do not want to go somewhere to be a backup, but maybe for a year it could be interesting because you just see how quarterbacks have developed there. You see when Rodgers was the quarterback, you see how Love developed into. When Love's the quarterback, you see what Willis is developing into. Kind of saying it there. It's interesting in this scenario because usually those are younger guys coming in and developing. This is Kyler Murray and Tua Tagovailoa who have started in the NFL for many years and now are kind of sinking downward. If they're on the Packers, I hope the Packers not really paying a cent of that contract. It'd be interesting. Don't really know what they'd get out of it. I would be shocked if any of this happens. Interesting take from Adam Schefter there, to say the least. Just wanted to touch on it. But that's all I got for this episode of Packers Latest. I appreciate you all tuning in as always. And, feel free to leave in the comments down below. Do you like these possible comp picks the Packers could get? I think it's interesting. I just think it's such a confusing system. It makes sense and is also so confusing at the same time because there's not really a formula for it. But I think the Packers could at least get a third round out of Malik Willis when he ends up with a different organization. But feel free to let me know down below. I'll make sure to read all those. But that's all I got. And as always, go Pack